believe, yes, I believe you died for me on Calvary. So here I am on bended knees.
We're still in my book here. Now we're moving to the last chapter, The Christian in Anger. We're going to talk about Ahithophel and anger, part 1. I think most of you read the Bible, you know who Ahithophel is. He was David's counselor. And it's a very profound revelation to see what happened to him there especially in the historical books there, how he turned against David. And we're going to see why he turned against him. It's interesting. Who is he? His name literally means brother of folly. So that's not good. And yet he was a very anointed guy in what he did. He was from a city called Gilo, and it says that there in 2 Samuel 15:12. He was known as Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor. He was also known as the king's counselor. And I'm going to show you how anointed he was. In the New Living Translation, 2 Samuel 16, verse 23 says, "For every word Ahithophel spoke seemed as wise as though it had come directly from the mouth of God." You could know with a great king, really the greatest of all the kings in the Old Testament was David. You could know that if he was David's personal counselor, that guy was anointed. That guy had to have been anointed. And so he was a very gifted man in government affairs. Apparently, that's what he did, and that's how David used him. So why did Ahithophel become so enraged with David? Why did he turn against him? Well, if you look at his family line, and you'll see what happened to him. So let's look at this, Ahithophel, his family. So I want to tell you, not only did he have a very prestigious position in government, he also had a very, very prestigious family. I mean, he could hold out his chest high because his family had some very gifted and blessed people. And one of them, 2 Samuel 23, verse 34 tells us, was Eliam. That was his son. It says there, Eliam, the son of Ahithophel the Gilonite. He was one of David's mighty men. David didn't have a lot of mighty men. 37, I think he had. But David didn't have a lot of guys, but this guy was one of the warriors, one of the awesome warriors that went out with David. He was selected. He had medals on his chest. He was a fighter. And man, I don't know about you, but if my son was a military hero and he was one of David's mighty men, I would be very proud of my son. You know, hey, my son is here with David and he's helping David out in his battles. Well, Eliam, Ahithophel's son, had a very beautiful daughter. And that daughter was Bathsheba. 2 Samuel 11:3, Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam. And guess what? Bathsheba is married to Uriah. And Uriah is one of David's mighty men. I don't know about you, but if your son and your granddaughter is beautiful, and Uriah, an in-law here, is married to your beautiful granddaughter, and he's one of David's, man, I bet Ahithophel walked around. Yeah, look at my family, man. We are right on. And you guys know what happened. Think about it. You read 2 Samuel, those opening verses, when David saw Bathsheba bathing, he sent his men, the wording in Hebrew there, they took her. She didn't come. It wasn't consensual. He took her. It was like a rape. And it was done by David. And like he gets away with it. Nobody challenges him. He's the king. He's the jury. He's the judge. He's everything. He does this. And not only that, he kills Uriah. Wow. Can you imagine? No, come on. Eliam, you put yourself in Eliam's shoes and think about what David did to this family. Worse than that, he marries Bathsheba. Now he's in your family. Uriah's gone, Bathsheba's pregnant, and now David, the very guy who messed up your family line, marries your granddaughter. Oh man, you talk about having to deal with some real pain. He had to deal with some very real pain. And as you go to 2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 20, you begin to see his anger and his rage. And I'll just summarize it for you here. If you read those verses, 2 Samuel 16, 20 through 17, 4, Absalom now, surely, David may think he got away with it, but God disciplined him terribly. It was terrible from that moment on, all the trouble that came into David's life for what he did. He didn't get away with it, no, for sure. But Absalom now rises up. And guess what? Absalom, who does he go to try to encourage this rebellion against his dad? He knows who to go. He's going to pick somebody who's really angry and really bitter. And if you study a chronological Bible, it's about 10 or 11 years later when Absalom rises up. And Absalom knows. Absalom's heard the chitter going on and the clatter going on among government people. I'm sure Ahithophel went and said, look what your dad did to me. I'm sure he expressed his grievance to Ahithophel. And sure enough, he joins it. And all of a sudden, it goes from him being the counselor, it says he becomes a conspirator. And the insurrection becomes stronger the minute Ahithophel joins in. And if you read the first verses there of chapter 17, Ahithophel tells Absalom, leave him to me. Leave him to me. I'll deal with him. I'll get 12,000 men and I'm going to go after him. I will do this. I will get him back. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to take him down and everybody's going to join your rebellion. Man, he let it all. All of his venom came out of him in that moment of anger and rage. You guys know the story. Isn't it interesting? Both of those men, Ahithophel and Absalom, ended up dying, hanging on trees. Both of them did. Because Ahithophel's counsel was not received. Hushai the Archite was there, and he gave Absalom some counsel, and they rejected Ahithophel's counsel. And Ahithophel went and he hung himself. He killed himself in his anger. And you know what happened to Absalom? His hair got stuck in a tree, and Joab came and plunged 3 spears right into his heart. I tell you, anger has revenge in it. Can you imagine all that's going on in our world? And I won't list all the things. You guys know. Can you imagine all the people that have been molested by priests and pastors, suicide bombings, school killings, all that happened to Lacey Peterson and Nicole Simpson and Polly Klaas, all the junk that has gone on with robberies and suicide and murders and everything that has happened around us. There's a lot of anger. Our world is full of anger right now. It is really, really full of anger. And we just have to guard our heart against all that is happening. Man, there's so much stuff going on. And when I heard what happened in that school shooting in Uvalde in Texas, I don't know that I was even angry when I first heard it. Just like, oh, right away you just feel the parents losing those kids. And it's just like you can turn into rage about what people have done. So we have to guard our heart in this late hour. In this last one, we're going to talk about the Hulk. Remember what he said? In one of the Avenger movies, he told one of them, he goes, I'm always angry. All right, so we'll close out with that one. This will be a short last session here.
You give me strength to run the race with my hands in head lifted high.